Nate Silvers and these Saliza people, just bites into this glorious show. AOC. What? She's kind of fun in a silly but earnest, wrong but adorable way. She's like your daughter when she comes back from her first year at Brown, full of half-baked, half opinions, in need of some gentle, patient deprogramming. But people have to realize new faces doesn't mean new ideas.
When Greg Gutfeld takes aim at AOC, it's not just political commentary, it's a full-blown comedic spectacle with teeth. Like a late-night sniper armed with sarcasm and precision, he slices through the spin, unpacks the contradictions, and torches the trend-chasing talking points without breaking a sweat. AOC may deliver her polished ideological fables, but Greg crashes the narrative with a punchline so sharp, it draws sparks. It's not a back and forth, it's a one-man roast with the facts on fire. His humor doesn't just entertain, it disarms, dismantles, and delights. One blistering quip at a time, he turns political theater into must-watch satire.
Where did she grow up again? Westchester?
Westchester.
She represents Queens, and she wears plaid, and then she has little ski things with like a 60-pound backpack, like she does that. I have never seen, and she showcases her whole life on social media. You can never see her in private. Everything is on social media.
Greg Gutfeld isn't just a commentator, he's a connoisseur of chaos, a master of the mock, and a maestro of political satire. When he locks onto Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, it's less a debate and more a comedic dissection, equal parts roast, reality check, and stand-up routine. Armed with razor-sharp wit and bone-dry sarcasm, Greg doesn't need to dig for material. AOC delivers it like a gift-wrapped piñata, complete with glitter and a handwritten note. Please use this on national television. What follows is less a critique and more a symphony of scathing humor, where contradictions are exposed and punchlines land like precision strikes.
AOC was on 60 Minutes last night, quite a feat for a newcomer. Must be all her great new ideas.
People are going to have to start paying their fair share in taxes. Once you get to like the tippy tops, on your $10 millionth dollar, sometimes you see tax rates as high as 60 or 70%.
What an expression. Now, the real story isn't AOC's very old ideas. It's the media's gushy view of her. Even with her old ideas, she gets on 60 Minutes. The past is called the future, and you better look.
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell icon so you never miss the next firestorm. Greg kicks off his critique like a top-tier chef prepping a 5-star roast. Carefully inspecting every bizarre ingredient AOC serves up. And with her, the pantry never disappoints. She brands herself a fierce advocate for the working class, yet somehow finds more time perfecting her live stream lighting than shaping meaningful policy. It's performance politics at its flashiest. AOC has become the ultimate political influencer. A blend of TED Talk ambition and TikTok theatrics, wrapped in a filter-heavy package that America didn't exactly order, but can't stop watching.
Status.
Why is it, Greg, that you can't challenge someone to a debate on the ideas without being accused of being a jerk? Like, I don't think Ben Shapiro has ever catcalled in his life.
Well, the thing is, what if a woman had challenged her to a debate? So she's actually being the sexist.
I think Candace Owens did.
Oh, really?
Now
There you go.
She has, like,
because
doubled the money.
So to answer your other question, she had to cloak her weak ideas in the armor of a...
Gutfeld doesn't have to stretch the truth. AOC's career practically roasts itself. He opens with her economics degree, which she brandishes in debates like it's Mjolnir, ready to crush dissent. But instead of lightning strikes, it lands more like a prop from a college improv show, maybe printed on the back of a recycled Starbucks receipt. Gutfeld can't help but marvel. How does someone with a diploma in economics consistently misfire on the basics of supply and demand? It's like watching a magician forget how to shuffle, yet still demand a standing ovation after every trick.
She has never introduced a fresh idea or issue in her life. The reason why she gets along with Bernie is because she's like an 80-year-old leftist in a used bookstore. I mean, she may look fresh, but she's as stale as an abandoned futon on the street. It's like, I listen to her, I go, I heard that at Berkeley in 1983.
Her Green New Deal reads less like serious policy and more like a 10th grader's extra credit essay. Rewritten mid-meditation at a yoga retreat in Sedona. It promises a utopian paradise, fueled by wishful thinking and funded with unicorn dust, as if economic reality were just a pesky suggestion. The math. Flimsier than an Instagram filter in bad lighting. And Greg Gutfeld doesn't just notice, he thrives on the disconnect. He zeroes in on the contradictions. AOC rails against capitalism while rocking designer outfits that cost more than a month's rent in the very borough she claims to champion. She decries environmental injustice but jets off in first class to climate summits, sipping champagne while tweeting about carbon footprints. To Gutfeld, this isn't policy, it's performance art. He peels away the curated glow of her social media persona to expose what he sees as a perfectly filtered facade, tailor-made for likes, not legislation. In his eyes, she's the political version of a decorative candle, stylish, on-trend, but completely useless in a real emergency. And then comes the social media circus. Gutfeld gleefully picks apart her flair for performative outrage. She doesn't debate opponents, she accuses them of moral atrocities, gasps in horror, clutches metaphorical pearls, and calls it injustice. All because someone dared use an unapproved word.
She doesn't do her job, right? She makes movies, she goes to galas, she sits for glossy butt-kissing interviews in GQ and other women's mags. Once you get over the fact that you're hollow inside, it's not a bad life.
All right, Dana?
Well, I think that I read a little bit of the New York Times review.
Gutfeld paints her not as a policymaker, but as a performer, someone who steps into every debate like it's the climactic finale of a reality TV show. A minor disagreement. Suddenly it's emotional devastation, policy pushback, clearly oppression, a lost vote. Cue the dramatic music. It's a modern Greek tragedy tailor-made for Instagram Reels. Then comes her signature flair for being perpetually offended. AOC doesn't just sense microaggressions, she can detect them in room temperature coffee. Her sensitivity is dialed so high, even microwave soup is suspicious. But the real roast kicks in when Gutfeld turns the spotlight on her solutions, or more accurately, the glittery void where solutions should be. She pitches sweeping, radical overhauls of society with all the confidence of someone who forgot their calculator during a math test. Her proposals promise utopia, solve nothing, and rely on logic flimsier than a hoverboard doing flips on a trampoline. To Gutfeld, her political approach is like ordering the priciest dish on the menu, insisting the whole table splits the bill, then vanishing just as the waiter brings the check.
Her wrists behind her back, again in the faux handcuffed position. It's as tall a tale as AOC nearly being killed on January 6th. This is a person who never met a situation she couldn't make about her. She really is the Amber Heard of DC politics. I'm surprised she didn't claim she was nearly killed on 9/11 or during the Tet Offensive or the Battle of Bunker Hill.
Gutfeld targets her Green New Deal like it's the director's cut of environmental bloopers. Ambitious, theatrical, and completely untethered from reality. High-speed trains replacing all air travel? Cows getting climate citations for farting? Universal income for people unwilling to work? Greg doesn't even have to write punchlines. He just recites the proposals and lets the absurdity do the heavy lifting. To him, the Green New Deal has the ambition of the moon landing but the execution of a group chat spiraling into chaos. Big dreams, zero planning, and far too many emojis. It reads less like a blueprint for progress and more like a BuzzFeed quiz on how to save the planet in 5 magical steps. What truly baffles Gutfeld, though, is AOC's constant insistence that she's fighting the system. As if she's live streaming from a protest tent instead of voting from the House floor. You are the system, he reminds us. You've got the badge, the mic, and the taxpayer-funded salary. But to AOC, critique equals conspiracy. Every disagreement is labeled systemic oppression. She's not interested in counterarguments. She's busy rewriting the rulebook mid-debate so that even reality has to play by her script.
Gets on 60 Minutes. The past is called the future, and you better love it. Take AOC's delightful dancing video from last week. The media created a fake story that conservatives attacked her over this delightful trifle. Not really. In fact, the only stories written about the dance were by liberals using it to falsely smear the right. So the press creates a shield around it.
Then comes the ego. Gutfeld dissects it with surgical precision, almost like he's narrating the anatomy of a brand. It's the kind of ironclad confidence that can only come from someone who believes every hot take is holy writ, and every gaffe is just personal growth in real time. AOC tweets like a prophet descending from the digital mountaintop, and deletes like a magician mid-distraction. Now you see it, now it's evolving thought. Greg grins as he ticks off the mounting list of contradictions, reversals, and rebrands, each one more acrobatic than the last. Words in AOC's world are less tools of truth and more like balloon animals, flexible, flashy, and incapable of holding weight. Accountability? That's someone else's burden. She posts curated selfies wrapped in captions about systemic injustice, while promoting branded merchandise that screams revolution. Until you realize the slogans probably came out of a brainstorm session sandwiched between oat milk lattes and Instagram analytics. Gutfeld calls it activist cosplay, a theatrical version of politics where optics outrank ideas. Captions count more than convictions, and influence is the real currency. It's politics made for the algorithm, not the Constitution.
Media would obey. Let's watch the tape. You know, she'd be a great mime. Like the Latina version of Marcel Marceau.
Gutfeld zeroes in on her favorite narrative device, casting every issue as an epic struggle between good and evil, with herself, naturally, as the righteous lead. In her world, every vote is a valiant stand for justice, every criticism is an act of oppression, and even the most benign policy disagreement becomes a headline-worthy battle for the soul of democracy. To Greg, her political style plays out like a soap opera, AOC as the fearless heroine, capitalism as the scheming villain, and anyone who disagrees with her as a sworn enemy of progress. It's high drama, low substance, and a goldmine for satire. He doesn't miss the irony either. AOC, a media darling with millions of followers and a seat in the halls of power, still paints herself as the scrappy underdog battling the system. She rails against power while trending weekly and monetizing the very platform she claims to fight against. Gutfeld ties it together with a wink, calling her the ultimate product of a culture that confuses likes for logic and engagement for expertise. She's not unintelligent, he concedes. The real danger, he argues, is her unwavering belief that her worldview isn't just correct, but morally untouchable. And when ideology feels bulletproof simply because it's popular, facts don't stand a chance.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've done Alexandria every day for the last 6 months. No, I mean, no, but it's true. But so is, I mean, the thing is, she does represent something. She represents kind of like the naive romanticism that you can kind of play along and no one questions.
You mean the poems that you write when you're 15 years old?
But I think that this is a real possibility for her. You know, if she does read and she does actually get up to speed, she could be a challenge. But she hasn't.
Just have some.
In the end, Greg Gutfeld doesn't need to go on the offensive to dismantle AOC. He simply holds up a mirror and lets the reflection do all the heavy lifting. Because the real punchline isn't just in her fiery tweets or headline-chasing policies. It's in the conviction that she's rewriting history, when in reality, she's mostly narrating it, with dramatic flair, filtered lighting, and minimal follow-through. For a satirist like Gutfeld, that's not an adversary. It's a never-ending gift basket of content. Just when you think the roast is winding down, Greg leans back, smirks, and takes another swing, because with AOC, there's always one more absurdity hiding beneath the latest virtue-drenched soundbite or perfectly posed selfie. It's a saga where the captions carry more weight than the bills, and the outrage gets more airtime than the outcomes. According to Gutfeld, she enters every policy debate like it's a hostile escape room, convinced it was designed solely to confuse her. And somehow that confusion morphs into resistance. She doesn't engage, she performs. She doesn't solve, she starts conversations, which in Greg's view, is just progressive speak for launching a digital tantrum. And lobbing off before the adults show up with facts and follow-up questions.
She's living in our heads like Pharrell Williams singing Happy. But in fact, it's the policies that live in our heads, and they should live there, because we know so many people who've been brutalized by such ideas. When you hear someone talk about socialism like it's a fun new way to pay down my college debt, you gotta scream. Just prepare to be called awful things for doing so. Today, pointing out the evil of the past makes you the bane of the present.
Greg Gutfeld zeroes in on AOC's now iconic tendency to narrate her political life like it's an off-Broadway solo act, equal parts tragedy, triumph, and TD talk. She doesn't debate policy so much as deliver emotional monologues wrapped in buzzwords and bathed in theatrical lighting. Her truth often arrives pre-packaged for social media, edited for maximum resonance, and trimmed of inconvenient facts. According to Gutfeld, it's less governance and more performance art, an experimental theater piece bankrolled by trending hashtags and applause emojis. She'll spend 5 minutes passionately decrying systemic inequality, only to pivot seamlessly into a poetic Instagram caption about how the lighting in the Capitol feels like a metaphor for generational trauma. And then there's the fashion politics, one of Gutfeld's favorite targets. He mocks the way she turns clothing into legislation, as if every outfit is a policy proposal stitched into fabric. The infamous tax the rich dress? He calls it performance art dipped in irony, worn proudly at a $30,000 per ticket gala, surrounded by the very elites she claims to battle. To Greg, it's the political equivalent of showing up to a firefighters' convention wearing a Let It Burn t-shirt. But he's not done. Gutfeld goes on to skewer her fixation with redefining the English language itself. In her world, borders are a suggestion, logic is a microaggression, and economics is no longer math, it's a vibe. Words don't mean what they used to. They mean what she needs them to, in the moment, for the narrative.
America. So by now you heard that AOC, among others, were arrested last night. She truly is an American hero. It was brutal. Taken out in cuffs. Well, technically, her shirt had cuffs. Maybe French cuffs, as she did surrender without fighting.
In AOC's world, advocating for secure borders somehow equates to xenophobia. Questioning trillion-dollar spending, that's cruelty in disguise. And daring to ask a basic follow-up? Clearly that's a personal attack on her womanhood. It's not so much political debate as it is a verbal kaleidoscope, an ever-shifting word salad tossed with a generous helping of moral superiority. Gutfeld has a field day with her uncanny ability to make nearly any event, no matter how obscure, circle back to her. A snowstorm, a Supreme Court ruling, even a banana shortage. Somehow, every headline finds its way into a monologue about injustice, resistance, or the lighting in her latest selfie. She's a walking content machine, churning out commentary that blends political buzzwords with influencer energy and the occasional skincare advice. And surrounding her is an army of online devotees, digital defenders who treat every misstep as misunderstood brilliance, and every contradiction as revolutionary courage. It's not just politics anymore, it's a personality brand, powered by ring lights, Wi-Fi, and a steady stream of self-importance. Gutfeld wraps it all with that trademark grin, the one that says he's not outraged, just amused. Because while AOC believes she's reshaping the future, Greg sees something else entirely. A goldmine of unintentional comedy no satirist could ever buy.